I'm Ashley, and in this video I'm going to tell you all about my favorite books that I read in 2021. Before I do that, I want to say, can you please take a moment to subscribe to my channel? It is my goal that I have set for myself to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I have a long way to go, and I need your help. If you could please click that red subscribe button, it would mean a lot to me. Before I delve into my absolute favorites, I want to give a few honorable mentions. My first honorable mention goes to Cassandra Clare's Chain of Iron and Chain of Gold, which are the first two books in the Last Hours trilogy. I am a huge Cassandra Clare fan. Cassandra Clare writes in the Shadowhunter world, and the Shadowhunters are part angel, part human, and they are demon fighters, demon slayers, and they exist in kind of this secret world that exists within our own. It's urban fantasy. This particular trilogy is told in 18th century Britain. We have a group of Shadowhunters who are being attacked in daylight, and that is something typically a demon is not able to do. So they have the mystery of, why are these demons able to appear in daylight? Why are they attacking? And of course there's lots of intrigue and romance. There's some LGBTQ plus representation. There's also some unrequited love. There's ghosts and ballrooms, and I absolutely enjoyed reading these two books. I can't wait to read book 3, which is coming out this year. My next honorable mention goes to none other than From Blood and Ash, which is by Jennifer L. Armentrout. There are 3 books published in the From Blood and Ash series. There is From Blood and Ash, of course, and I'm going to link my discussion of that book up above. There is Kingdom of Flesh and Fire and Crown of Gilded Bones. Crown of Gilded Bones, I have a spoiler-filled chatty video about. I'm going to also link that up here. And I really enjoyed just breaking that book down for you, so check that out if you're interested. From Blood and Ash is set in a mythical, fantastical world where we have Poppy, who is born into the role of the Maiden. We don't exactly know what this means. Poppy doesn't know what this means. And all she does know is that she's kept separate from everybody. She's not allowed to be touched. She wears a white veil and a white gown at all times. And what she starts to do is sneak out at night to try to, live a little bit, because she knows one day she's going to be ascending. What that means exactly, what the details are, we don't know. It's a mystery. She ends up falling for her bodyguard. It is a beautiful love story. I actually love the dynamic between her and her love interest. I think you would really love this book too. If you're watching this, this is your sign to check that series out if you haven't already. If you love a good fantasy romance a la Sarah J. Maas, then you have to check this series out. My last honorable mention, and I'm kind of cheating with these honorable mentions, but I love books, and I really take a lot of time before I open up a book and read it. And that's kind of why I feel like I have so many favorites, and it's really hard for me to, whittle it down. But my last honorable mention is Red Tigress or Tigress. Do you say Tigress or do you say Tigress? Let me know in the comments down below. The Red Tigress, I say Tigress, by the way. That's just what I say. I like it. The Red Tigress is book 2 in a trilogy that's based on the Anastasia fairy tale, and in this trilogy the main character has a special power where she can control people's blood. And what I really liked about this was that it's quite a unique power, and it's a unique world. It's set in almost like a Russia type inspired landscape. It's very cold. It starts out as a murder mystery and then becomes a story of how to reclaim power. She's actually a princess, but she's initially framed for killing her father. She has to run. She comes back. She enlists a criminal to help her. He's a really great character. There's a lot of really interesting power dynamics and actual magical powers that a lot of the characters have. I really blew through those first 2 books, and if you like fairy tale retellings, fantastical stories. You will really enjoy this one. Book one, and these are in no particular order. Sorry if you thought I was counting them down. Book one is none other than Rhapsodic by Laura Thalassa. I loved this book. I read it so quickly. It is addictive. It's an easy read. I blew right through it. It is the story of Callie. Callie gets herself into a rough situation and she calls on the Bargainer. He is a Fae King, kind of inspired by like the devil or Hades, and he makes bargains. So if you ask him for something, he will do it, but then he will come back to collect and ask you for something in return. And Callie, our main character, she loves spending time with this Hades-like character who is the Bargainer, and she's constantly making bargains with him. She has beads that wind all the way up her arm, which symbolize these bargains. But one day, he just does not answer. He disappears from her life, and years later, he comes back, and he is here to collect on his bargains. The Bargainer is actually a series. The first book, Rhapsodic, takes place in the real world, but the next couple books take place in the Fae world. So this is another really great fantasy romance series. It's definitely one of my favorite reads that I've ever had. That sounds weird. It's one of my favorite books. What, like that I've ever had. Why am I saying that? Rhapsodic is excellent. Like I said, it's a very straightforward style of writing. It's really the content that draws you in, and the relationship and the mystery of why did he leave? Why did he come back? And it's a really great love story. So there is a duology by Danielle L. Jansen called The Bridge Kingdom. And my favorite is actually book 2, which is The Traitor Queen. And let me tell you the premise of the first book, but know that my favorite is actually the second one. So The Bridge Kingdom is about Lara, and she is raised along with her sisters out in the desert, where she is trained in 2 arts. 1, the art of combat, and 2, the art of seduction. She is going to be competing to see if she can be the kind of one to win the right to marry this kingdom that controls the bridge. Now, the bridge is essential for trade. Lara's kingdom really relies on it and is being taxed basically to death, and she has this mission of infiltrating the Bridge Kingdom so that they can eventually take it over and no longer have to struggle to pay these high tariffs. Now, I really liked Bridge Kingdom book 1, and I loved The Traitor Queen. So if you like that dynamic of I came to kill you, but oops, I fell in love, and then you will like these books. I also really liked the fantasy world that she set up with this kind of bridge that goes across these islands, and that is where a lot of the book takes place. It's kind of tropical, but kind of deadly as well. Danielle L. Jansen does a really good job of keeping you involved in the story the whole time. The pacing is great. There's a few action scenes in there. I would say it's fairly light on the spice, but it's still got a little bit of that spice in there if that is your thing. Next up is a book that is not a fantasy romance. You see, I don't always read fantasy romances. I read other genres as well. Next up is actually a fake dating book. I think this is everyone's favorite out of the trilogy, and that is Take a Hint, Dani Brown is book 2 in a trilogy all about the Brown sisters. There's Get a Life, Chloe Brown. Get a Life, Chloe Brown. Take a Hint, Dani Brown. Act Your Age, Eve Brown. And in this book, like I said, it's fake dating. So we have Dani Brown, and she works as a PhD student and professor in this particular university. And the love interest is a security guard. They are friends. He has a charity. And one day the fire alarm goes off, and he scoops Dani up and rescues her from the building. And everybody starts to ship them on social media. So they pretend to be dating to help create some positive attention for his charity. I love books set in academia. I think we need more of those. You'll see I have another one on my list that's like that. And it's just a really cute story. It's funny, it's spicy, it's body positive, and it does a really good job of representing a male character who likes romance and has anxiety and a past. I really like Talia Hibbert's diversity that she has in this book series. So I haven't read the third one, but I read the first one and it was also a really great read. Ooh, the next one is really good, guys. It's called Dance of Thieves, and it is book one in a duology by Mary E. Peterson. I was nervous because I really like her Remnant Chronicles trilogy. And I've mentioned that in a book where I talk about my favorite enemies to lovers fantasy romance books. I will link that up above for you. You must watch it. It is the most popular video on my channel by far. This book is set in the same world as the Remnant Chronicles. It takes place after the fact, so please do read the Remnant Chronicles first. And this book is about a soldier who is sent to a particular territory because she is pursuing a war criminal. In this particular territory, she finds like a gang that's sort of ruling this city-state area, and she and the leader of this gang actually get kidnapped and chained together. So if you like forced proximity, if you like enemies to lovers, you will love this book. I really like the dynamic between the two people. I already loved the world, and I knew I would love it to learn. I'd love to learn more about it. I like all the side characters as well. And it's thick, but I was like, oh, I'm not going to be able to get through this thick, huge book quickly, but I loved reading it, so it went by really quickly for me. I was able to read it fast, and it's kind of nice if you're enjoying a book that there's so much of it for you to enjoy. So that's Dance of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson. My next book is The Midnight Lie, and that is by Marie Rutkowski. She has also written some of my favorite fantasy romance books. She has written the Winter's Curse trilogy. This book is set in that world, but on like a different country. It's a really divided society. You have the main character existing in this world where they are at the bottom of the food chain. They're in this class, which is like you can't wear color, you can't eat sweet foods, your life basically sucks. Constantly you're being fined in the form of them taking like your blood or some of your body parts. And it's a mystery as to why the society is structured like this. And our main character seems to have some strange things about her, but maybe they're powers. She gets arrested and she meets a very interesting character who she ends up building a relationship with. I adored the writing. It was a very heavy book, serious, very lyrical writing style, a lot of imagery. You really felt the weight of what this kind of crushing, burdensome position in society was like. Like social class is just so strong. And it's a cool reveal at the end as to why the society is the way it is. So that is The Midnight Lie, which is a duology, and this is book one. Everything's a duology now. I used to complain. I was like, why aren't there more duologies? Now everything's duology. Now I'm like, why aren't there more standalones? And then one day I'll be like, no, I'm going back to the trilogies. Next book is the book that I voted for on the Goodreads Choice Awards for the best romance, and that is The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. Ali Hazelwood has a PhD, I believe it's in biology, and this book takes place in academia. It follows our main character who is doing her PhD, and her friend is in love with someone who the main character briefly dated, and really doesn't care about this guy at all. But she knows that her friend, out of loyalty, is going to avoid dating this guy because her friend had previously dated him. So she wants her friend to feel like she can go ahead and date him. So what she does is she grabs this haughty professor and she kisses him. And basically what they agree to is to fake date because, you know, it'll convince her friend to date this guy that she really likes. And what the professor gets out of it is his school will see him putting down roots, and they will want to give him or release his funding. That's what it is. They're holding back his funding because they're not sure if he's going to stay. But if he shows that he's with someone and he's putting down roots, they're going to release his funding. So that is the plot. I really like just a kind of a light, fun book, but it also touches on how difficult it is to be a female in academia. It touches on how difficult it is to be a scientist. And I really loved how this book was written. It was really true to what it is like in academia. I don't have a PhD, but I did do a master's, and that was at a very hard school. And I really enjoyed the representation of having a woman, and not only is she in academia, she's in STEM. So that is a really interesting backdrop for this fake dating romance. And if you like Adam Driver, the author was really inspired by Adam Driver when she wrote, and I'm gesturing to Adam Driver's height here, that's what this hand gesture is. She was inspired by him when she wrote this book, and so his physique is like Adam Driver, if you're into that. I mean, who isn't into Adam Driver? Sometimes he wears his pants a bit high in the Star Wars movies, but we can forgive him for that, right? I love a fake dating book. I actually had to explain to my husband what fake dating was, because he was like, fake what now? Essentially, fake dating is you agree to date for mutual advantage. So what usually ends up happening is in the act of fake dating, you realize that you love each other and you fall in love. And that's exactly what happens in this next book, which is called She Drives Me Crazy. This is a story of Scotty, and she's on the basketball team, and she has this girlfriend that she is just head over heels with, who dumps her, ditches her, goes to a different school. Scotty, is kind of has a nemesis that is Irene, and Irene is a cheerleader, and Irene drives her car into Scotty. And so what they end up doing is having to carpool. Their moms arrange them to carpool, and while they are carpooling, they strike up this idea. Mostly it's Scotty who creates this kind of scenario or this proposal. She says, if you will fake date me, which will help me make my ex jealous, I will give you some money I have saved up. And Irene needs this money because she wants to pursue her cheerleading. I think it's like a special cheerleading program or camp. And I don't know, it's just like a nice, heartwarming story. I really like Scotty's family. I like the relationship between Irene and Scotty. I like the idea of a gay cheerleader and the gay basketball player falling in love. It's a really sweet story, and it kind of deals with the difficulties of coming out, as well as the difficulties of like stereotypes. Just because you're a cheerleader does not mean that you're ditzy or an airhead. Do people say airhead anymore? Comment down below. The story is it's just heartwarming. It made me feel something, and that was generally happiness, but also, you know, some sad emotions in there. And if you want kind of like a nice YA light book, then this one is for you. Haha, we have reached the end. My very last favorite book for 2021. It is Ruthless Fae, which is book 2 in the Zodiac Academy series. Zodiac Academy is so good. You need to go turn off this video and read Zodiac Academy right now if you have not already done so. There's like 7 books out, lots to read. It is, so book 2. So let me start with book 1. By the way, I have a spoilery discussion of book 1 up above that I'm going to link up above, and I really enjoyed making that video, and I think you would enjoy watching it. So read Zodiac Academy, then watch that video, and then thank me by subscribing to my channel. So Zodiac Academy is about twins, Tori and Darcy, who when they turn 18 are kicked out of their foster home and approached by a professor from none other than the Zodiac Academy, who tells them that they're actually Fae princesses, heirs to the throne of Solaria, which is a Fae kingdom, and they need to come with him. He's going to take them to the Zodiac Academy, where their parents will have already set aside money for them to go. Their parents passed away when they were young, but if they do the Zodiac Academy and graduate, then they will get a very sizable inheritance. Since they basically have nothing, this seems like a great idea, and so they go with this professor. And this book, first one, is all about all the bullying that they endure when they're at this Zodiac Academy school, Book 2 is my favorite because even though it's called Ruthless Fae, it could be called The Girls Strike Back. And they fight back against their bullies in ways that are absolutely hilarious. These books are super spicy. These books are enemies to lovers to enemies to lovers. There is every kind of magic imaginable in there. There's every kind of fantastical creature. It is just a really fun read. And that is why it is one of my favorite series of all time. And this book in particular, it like made me laugh out loud. When has a fantasy romance done that for you? Great read. Like I said, 7 books, so lots to read, lots of material to get through. I read 6 of them this year, and I'm on book 7 now. Like I said, it's just, it's a, like, I joked before that like they take a bunch of popular fantasy books and like mix them up, and then that's Zodiac Academy. And honestly, I really liked it. And I think you could like it too. It's just awesome. So thank you so much for sticking with me through all of my favorites and honorable mentions from 2021. I hope you'll stick around and subscribe to my channel. I'm going to put up a few more videos that I think you might enjoy. In the meantime, this is Ashley saying happy reading. Have a good day. Happy 2021. I hope you're having a good start to the year. Bye.